Hi guys, hi everyone. Hi Valentino, Vlad, Colleen. It's so
Hey,
cool to see messages from everywhere. So happy to have you all here in this live stream. Um, so thank you for joining. It's really a very important moment for us, and we're very excited to talk to you about things that we have worked on the past months. And we are going to spend roughly 45 minutes with you guys, maybe more if there are more questions. So please feel free at any moment during this webinar to ask questions or to send us messages into the chat. We're a good amount of people, but I think it's perfectly fine to ask any question, and we'll try to pick it up during the webinar and also, of course, at the end. So this being said, I would like to introduce the hosts. So maybe Valentino, you can start.
Hey guys, I'm the CEO of Casey, and I'm very proud to present you what we've been working for the past months. And yeah,
Cool. Vlad?
hey, I'm Vlad. I'm part of the team behind Teleport HQ, and I'm also really excited and can't wait for you guys to see what we have for you. Welcome, and I hope you have a blast watching us.
Colleen?
Hi everyone, I'm Colin. I'm from the marketing team at Teleport HQ, and I can't wait to see your questions for us. Paul?
Yeah, and I'm Paul. I'm co-founder at Teleport HQ. Really happy to see you here. I recognize a few names and some friendly faces, and I'm really happy to see that there are people from all over the world joining this session. So that's really exciting. So during this webinar, we are going to follow this program. So we're going to have a short introduction. We are going to talk a bit about the platforms. I suppose that you guys probably joined us being either Casey users, either or Teleport users, or both. And I think for guys who are both users, this is going to be even more exciting. But I think for everybody else, you're going to discover some interesting things, and hopefully that's going to trigger even more excitement. And probably if you are one of the users of one of the platforms, you already know that Casey and Teleport are integrated for a while now, and that's what we're calling light integration. So we're going to speak about that. And then most importantly, we're going to dive into a deep integration demo, the thing that is the meat of this webinar. And that is going to be led by Vlad, who's going to show us how things are working and how we are seeing the future of web development. And then we're going to touch a few topics about our roadmap so that you can see what is next, how we see things. And finally, we're going to answer to your questions, and hopefully there'll be a few. So I'm going to go directly to the next part of this webinar, and I'm going to eventually just remind for people where we started, both Teleport HQ and Casey. So maybe Valentino, you want to say a few words about the Casey history and how you started?
so basically we started back then as an agency and created Casey because of the need of a better content management system. And yeah, like we come from a very tech heavy background. We were building websites ourselves, had a lot of enterprise clients back then, and from there on we transitioned to a food product company and developed Casey with the mind that, well, the basic headless architecture where you have a content platform and you can handle multiple websites. Well, basically you have all your content in one place and you can do whatever you want with it, build a website, an app. Exactly. But we felt, or we saw that the need or 80% of the use case, what you're building with a headless CMS is basically a website. And there's just this 20% where you build on top of it or where you scale with it. And yeah, that's where we came from, and then why we partnered with Teleport HQ in that way.
Cool. Yes, and we on the other side, we started quite a long time ago. That was in 2017. Our first idea was essentially to build websites with AI. I think we were a bit ahead of the curve at the time. So we came back into something more traditional. Now we brought back a lot of AI, and we decided very early to specialize only in one field, and just that, and that was UI building, and that was our mantra. And one other mantra that we had is that we absolutely wanted to base our technology on open source code generators in order for other developers or for other companies to be able to extend, develop their own technology on top of ours, so that we would arrive to sort of an open ecosystem that would enable much more than just what many platforms are doing today, which is basically closed source solutions. So a long time has passed since then, and we've done a lot. And we met Casey, I think 2 years ago, pretty much. And it was a love at first sight. I think it was like a super personal connection with Valentino first, and I think that that's quite important. But we also found that from all integrations that we've done, that Casey was one of the best and the most advanced solution. And little by little, it just became obvious to us that we had to do more. And we are going to introduce you to what this more means in a few minutes. So I think, Valentino, you would agree that our what is also in this slide, we had very strong focus, each of us, on one specific vertical, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like the vertical basically is that with the Webflow or with our competitor web build products, you cannot scale with them. So basically, they're just WordPress in better. Let's just say you can still have one website with it. You cannot really, like, it's a dead end. You put your content there and that's it. And you can not really scale up on it, and you do not own the code. So that are some features or some things that we were strongly about to change them together. And that are the verticals that we want to tap in.
Yes. So I think I would assume that everybody in this webinar is pretty much aware of the environment, and there are really good competitors are there, and they're having amazing platforms. So there's no doubt about that. So I think it's just a matter of vision and positioning, and we definitely wanted to be on the more open side of it. And we're going to go more in depth about that in a few moments. So that's a bit the context in which we are. I would assume, as I mentioned, that you guys know what a headless CMS is and what a low-code builder is. Many of you are probably already users. I think I recognize pretty many of the emails or the user connected here. So would you like to say a few words about what a headless CMS is for those that are not yet acquainted to this concept?
So basically, a headless CMS is like the front end and the back end are deconnected. That means in a headless CMS, you have basically a bunch of content that you piece together in the way you like it or the project demands it. And then you fetch the data over an API. And that means, and that's the term headless, means you can put many hats onto your backend and fetch the data that you need to for the particular hats that you're serving the data for.
Got it. Okay, so let's move on. So in last year, we moved ahead and we connected Teleport to a bunch of headless CMSs, but really the cases standed out from so many perspectives. And we're really proud of doing that because we are really truly believing in an open ecosystem. So there was a very important step forward for us. It turns out, though, that after hundreds of implementations and hundreds of projects that we've helped our users to do, the context switching is kind of a killing situation, because you need to go into teleport, you need to create a teleport project, you need to go into KC, you have to create a KC project, then you have to connect the two, then you have to select the available data collections, you have to fetch the ones that you want to use, connect the fields, and it turns out that the setup is quite cumbersome. So once you pass this cliff, the experience is really amazing, and users that can use today or are using today Teleport and Casey, I think they're having a good time, and it's quite efficient, and it's quite efficient from several perspectives. One is the content management. I think feels really good in Casey, and it is coupled with our connecting system, and in the end, performance of the websites that you're deploying are really good, and we are going to see that as well in this demo that we're going to do today. And so we observed how our users were using this type of projects, and we little by little started to feel some bottlenecks, some that I just mentioned, like the setup was really complex. One thing that was not really nice is the manual syncing, which basically means if you make a change into your data source in Casey, you had to come back into Teleport and to refresh the data source. That came with a lot of pains. You can only sync data from Casey towards Teleport, and that was also kind of painful. There's no real-time feeling in it, which means if you are going to Casey and you change your mind about the content, you're changing it, but you have to refresh and Teleport to see the things. And one feature that I discovered in Casey, which I think is absolutely gorgeous, is the fact that not only you can manage, obviously, content for each blueprint in Casey, but you can build pages and then reorder and shuffle the sections inside the page. And I thought that was really nice, and that's something that we dearly missed in Teleport. So when we discussed with Valentino and when we decided to go further into the integration, we had all these pain points in mind. And basically, what I would suggest now is to jump into the nicest part of this webinar, which is going to be the demo. Yes, maybe before the demo, but we're going to come back to the slide as well. No, let me just revert the order. I just changed my mind. I think let's go with the demo time, and then we're going to come back to the why, because I think context will help. So for this demo, we wanted to show you a real life situation. So nothing has been prepared. The scenario that we're going to show is one that you are going to experience on your daily work with Teleport and Casey, which is you have a landing page and you need to bring some changes to it. Basically, adding a section you're going to publish, and then you are going to show that to your customers, you've received some feedback, and you have to do another round of it. And we wanted to show to everyone how this really standard workflow in a marketing agency daily life is happening or can happen with this new integration that we have. So this being said, I'm going to call Vlad on stage, and Vlad is going to introduce us to this demo.
Thank you. In that case, I'm going to share my screen, and I can see we're live. I have here a landing page that we created. And I'm going to show you exactly what this deep integration means. So this is the deployed version of the website, and I'm going to hop on over to Casey. And as you can see, some things have changed. Basically, on the left side, we can see the structure of the web page, and on the right side, we can see a live preview. The landing page is structured into sections, and these sections you can see. So, for example, the first one is the navbar. Second one is the hero, and we have the partner section. And moving forward, these are all the other sections that you will find here in this left part, from where the content is managed. One cool thing that is new. Let's say we want to make a change inside our content. We want something to change, and maybe let's change this heading here, because it's a little bit small, and let's just say
It's dry. It's dry. Let's make it.
It's
dry.
dry. Yeah, it's very dry.
So as you can see, the content is updating in real time.
Yeah. I think.
So
Yeah. Go ahead, Valentino.
so basically, that like we separated the experience from someone who is just filling the content and someone who is actually doing the design work, because I think we're there are three different personas that we target and try to target really good at the specific point they're trying to use, or they're going to use our system. One is like the content editor, one is the designer, and one is the developer. And in this showcase, what Vlad is showing us right now is like the view of a content editor who is there, is building a new website, and has basically, or can basically build a website like building a PowerPoint with master slides. That means he's really fast with pre-built components. And yeah, if a component is missing, yeah, and that's where we are heading to this amazing integration, is that maybe there is a component missing that we can have between we build it for us so it works for you, to have like 3 or 4 cards that showcase some more features. Can you build that for us?
Yeah, for sure. Let's maybe add this section that you were referring to. Maybe we can add it here. And I'm gonna switch over to the builder. And for those of you who are familiar with Teleport, maybe you recognize this. This is my website, and let's start creating the new section. And this will be my cards. Let's say that is part of my my solutions section. And I'm just going to build the structure and the whole layout of the section from scratch.
Yes, and while Vlad is doing that, I think Teleport users are pretty familiar with this interface. Maybe Casey users not yet. And here we are in a component view, and that component view is basically a piece of reusable code that has essentially 2 big properties. One is reusable code, and that's very important. And there is another very important property, which is that this reusable code that we're called components, and that also has a component correspondence in the generated code, can receive properties. And those properties basically are the attaching points between the user interface and the data that is stored into the CMS. So you will see that now Vlad is basically creating the HTML structure of the cards. And you will observe, I think the screen is a bit small, but you probably can still see it. Vlad is really careful and gives also precise names to each of the layers inside the left column. This will be very useful in a few minutes when we're going to connect this with data. And now you see also Vlad using CSS classes, for those who are familiar with that. Those are basically pre-built styles, rules that are going to be applied throughout all the websites. So if you have a big website, that's basically the path you're going to take. So you can create a class and then reuse it throughout all your website. And right now it looks kind of a bit like a wireframe because we are in this component mode. But you'll see in just a few minutes how this is going to take life.
So basically now we have one card, and let's say that we want to have three. I'm just going to duplicate this card that I already created, and I would like the layout to be horizontal, and maybe let's put some spacing between the cards. Okay, so this would be my three cards. There's one last thing that we actually need to do, and I'm gonna go back into the naming of the elements, because this is my first card, and this will be my second card, and I'm just gonna rename these elements because they will get, you will see them afterwards.
This will make sense in just a few seconds
when we check them out in the content management part. Okay, so the naming is done. I just need to create some dynamic values for them.
So these dynamic values that Vlad is mentioning are these properties. If you're a developer, this just makes sense out of the box. If you are not so technical, you will get used to that. Is not rocket science. But basically, these are the attaching points, as I mentioned before, between the UI and the data that is served by the CMS. And here we have a pretty simple example that Vlad is showing. But you can do any sorts of bindings using this interface that Vlad is using at the top. So,
and basically this dynamic data is because of the fact that this component is meant to be reusable. So you want it once to appear, but you can use it as many times as you want. And this dynamic data is actually dynamic. You can put whatever you want in it once you decided that this needs to be dynamic. Okay, so let's say that this is the UI that my new section would have, and let's check it out.
So seems quite simple, but I think I want to just pause here for a second because this was one of the things that we wanted to implement in this integration. And Valentino, please jump in at any time. In a traditional scenario where you have the headless CMS, which is holding the data, you have to, as a developer, and you have to go and like fetch data from the CMS and then figure out what the data format is, and then connect it to the code that you're generating. While here, because of this very deep integration, the fact that Vlad basically said, I need a section with 3 cards with those text elements, Casey understood that request and automatically was able to create the blueprint in the background.
So yeah, so basically, I think I just saw a question in the chat. Richard asked the question that we decoupled front end and back end and combined it now again. So basically, we do not really combine them. It's still decoupled, but we are joining the experience from designer to developer, because and to operate in headless CMS as itself is very expensive when you just code it. So, but most of the web part, or 80% of the time when a headless is used on the web as a website content management system, it's very expensive to operate. So what we had in mind here is that we need something where you can easily build websites to take like the most part of it, like the standard thing that we see here is like the sections, the navigation, etc., etc. And then just leave space for the things that are really needed, um, that are custom code, and that's something that we're coming later on, that you can inject custom code components into Teleport. We're not going to showcase it today, but that's something you can do as well in the future, and that's where we're heading to.
Yeah,
I
and I think something. I think it's a very interesting question. Something that I mentioned at the beginning, which I think is going to be more and more the case, and I hope you would agree with me, is that the role of developers is going to switch a lot from purely developing to enabling other team members. There's so much automation happening around, both from the AI perspective, that's one, obviously, but also from these deeper integrations that will happen more and more, that basically I think developers will have to understand everything that is happening and become more integrators than developers and enablers. So I think it was a very good question, but we really, at least Valentino and I, are really sharing that, and I think for the teams is really visible. We're sharing this vision of this transformation of the market, where integration is going to take over the pure development tasks. Sorry, back to you, Vlad. This was a long intro, long pause.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the content section, and probably you noticed that my new section got added at the bottom, and I just moved the order. So this is something that you can do directly from the content interface, and I don't know. This is pretty cool, if you ask me.
Yeah, that was something that we really wanted to have. And I think it's also decoupling the concerns and the decisions. Oh yes, yes. I think the can you eventually, would you be able to make your screen
screen size a little
smaller?
bit bigger. Yeah.
Because I think for some users might be quite small.
Trying to change the layout here in StreamYard.
Is this better, guys? Is it a bit better? Yes, I think Florian talked about that, and somebody else as well.
I think this is a little bit too big.
Well, I hope, yeah, we should have prepared for better for that, but now should be a bit better, hopefully. Did it change? Yeah, it looks like it changed a bit.
Okay.
The big one. Can you make it big again, Vlad, maybe? Yes, I think it's easier. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Continue.
Yeah, then the UI is a bit truncated, but that's fine. It's good for our demo.
We currently have the layout. Maybe now we can fill in the content of the new cards, and for that, let's open here and let's start adding the content. Just a second, because I have some content over here, and probably you can see in real time how again the content gets updated, and the cards look alive.
Yeah, for me, I'm not a marketer myself, far from it, but that's something that I always wanted as a developer, to be able to test the text or the content in the layout that I was building. And I think this is really nice. And when we're going to add more AI features, which we are going to say limit to 30 words, limit to 50 words, you can try different versions of your content. but not only in terms of content purely, but in how it looks into the page as well. So I think this seems like a small thing, but it really makes a huge difference when you have a lot of things like that to do.
Finally, I'm gonna link the images. And let's check out how the section looks right now. So this is how it looks in the preview, but as you can see, the cards don't really have the same height. So I'm gonna switch over back to the builder, and here I can see them in full width. And I'm just gonna go in the previously made component, and I just need to change some things here.
I think isn't that each of the children? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Nice.
And now we have it. Okay.
So maybe we can publish to see how it looks.
Sure. Just one second. I need to, because since my content has changed, I actually need to publish.
Yes, for those who are not yet KC or headless CMS users, the content that we were playing with was in a draft mode. So when Vlad clicked on the publish, now that content became the source of truth, and now we are also shipping the UI that we've built, and everything should stick together. And we're going to check live in just in a few seconds. It's thinking, but shouldn't be long.
It's still blinking here.
That's good. That's good. So far, I'm really happy the demo didn't completely crash. That's really positive. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, because generally, then that's the moment when it happens. Oh no, it went through. Okay.
And as you can see, we have the new sections, and there's one additional thing that I want to show you. I'm going to open this in an incognito tab, and I want you to I want to show you the scores that Google gives to this web page.
That are pretty amazing results, I would say.
Yes, and this is for mobile.
Which is harder to get.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want. I would like to brag a bit about this one, because to get these results out of the box, I don't know if you guys have already made websites optimizations. Is not that easy to get, and this is possible because both KC and Teleport have several layers of optimizations at different stages. Image optimizations, code optimizations, lossless optimizations. It's quite interesting. KC is also bringing something that Teleport didn't have before, which is if you store an asset in KC, then that asset is automatically available in as many viewports as you need, which basically means if you're on mobile, the speed of loading that page is going to be optimized specifically for the mobile users. But if you're coming back to to a desktop, then the image is not going to look pixelated. So that's just a few short items from these optimizations, and it's really hard to get if you want to do that from scratch. Like, you need a lot of knowledge, you need an experienced developers team. So I think it's important to. I was happy to brag a bit about that. That's cool.
Since we mentioned mobile, I think there's one more thing that we still need to do. We need to check how the new section looks on mobile, and as you can see, not pretty good.
Yeah, we have to fix that.
We have to fix this. So basically, we're just gonna go into the section, and let's go into breakpoints and see. So basically here, it's not looking that good. we're just gonna do some adjustments. And let's say on here, I just want it to be like this. And let's check it out on the actual home page. Yep. I think we made it also responsive.
Yeah, so so I think there are people smiling behind their screens at this stage because this is a very simple case for responsiveness, but it's still a very nice experience that you can have in Teleport about responsiveness, something that we really had at heart to solve as well as possible. And I think that's something that I dearly missed when I'm working in Figma, for example. I have to build several screens to figure out the responsiveness. While here, one thing that I also enjoy a lot, and maybe you can show that, Vlad, is when you drag the handle on the right side, and you can see that the responsiveness is working literally at every screen size. Maybe here so those are things that were quite nice. And now what I'm really happy with this effort that we've done with Valentino and that our teams have done together is to bring this all this experience in one single context. So yeah, I think you can republish, and we should be good for this iteration as well. So in this case, there was no new content, so we only need to publish the UI part of the project.
Exactly. Like what is important to say that you not need, if you change the content somewhere, you do not need to do the publish. It's basically create a new component. You need to also like git push and then deploy it, and that's what happens right now here. And that comes back to the question to Richard. Here you see again that the front end and the back end are actually decoupled still. Yeah.
Yes, and basically this is going to end our demo. And yeah, we don't want to spend too much time or keep you too much to show you everything that you can do. We wanted to really give you a taste about the experience, this unified experience that we worked on so hard on these past months to put together. So Vlad, thank you very much for preparing for this demo for us. And I think we can move ahead because we're coming close to the end of this webinar. I'm going to take over the screen, and I'm going to come back to one step to the slide that I skipped previously. I don't know, Valentino, if you share my vision about it, but it is somehow in our discussions, the things that we wanted to do is to keep the best of both worlds, like no compromise. And I'm saying this because while you've seen this integration that is unified, or it's very deeply integrated, you can still use Casey for a huge amount of contents, multi-website contents. You can use it as a huge database. It's not a one-to-one mechanical relationship. You will be able to mix in these projects static pages built with Teleport if you don't need content, whatever that reason would be, with completely dynamic content. You will be able to basically enjoy the best features of both platforms without losing the benefits of both platforms. And I think that this was quite important in our approach and in our work for this past months. So I think that's really important. And the one single context, the fact that you are going to create an account in KC first, and then automatically you will have the Teleport experience embedded. You don't have to think about having two accounts. That is also going to be a very nice add-on. The real-time part for me, I think you had this idea in mind when we had this meeting at the restaurant, and I think that's really nice one. Maybe I'll let you talk about it.
So basically, the idea that we had there is like, I mean, there are so many tools out there, and the problem with headless CMSs were always it's an amazing tool for large scale websites, but it also, I mean, it also halters a little bit the iteration part. You know, like every component, everything that you want to change in a headless CMS always requires development work, even if it's some tedious new component, image with text. You know, like where just a designer could do it, and a developer needs to go there, spend 8 hours coding it, testing it, and so on and so forth. And we were saying that in a fast-paced world that we're living in right now, that takes too long. On the other hand, we had like the basic um, page builders like WordPress. Good, WordPress is another story. But when we compare ourselves with Webflow or Framer or Editor X or Wix in this part, they're really that, like, you are into their platform. So at one point you say, okay, I can build very fast a website with it, but at one point you outgrow the system. You say, I need that content on that website. Maybe on another landing page, you need to create a new project, and then you need to manually sync the things and so on forth, or you need to create some sketchy Zapier connections, where you say, oh, that that takes a lot of effort, and you lose the control over it, you know. And the only cool part of that is like the page builder experience, and that's where we sit together and said, Teleport is really good at page building, and Casey is really good at CMS. And there was the point where we said, now let's create the best of both worlds: infinitive scalability and the easiness of creating your websites pretty easily. And that's where the point, where we said that we are creating this unified experience. And the next thing that really amazed me back then with Teleport is you're not forced to host it on our system. Like, we do not trap you in. You can download the code. It's production ready code in Next.js, in plain React, in Angular, in Vue, and host it yourself somewhere else. So you always have the code ownership, which is, for my background as an agency, extremely crucial. And that was basically the vision that we had, is like, that you need flexibility, but you really need to be fast at iterating on websites, on the things that are basically daily marketing stuff. And that's why we came together and built that experience.
Yeah, I think you were earlier believer than I was, and then you pushed really hard. So congratulations to you, Valentino, because I think this is a lot of your initiative, and I'm really happy to see the end version of it. So that's really nice. Yeah, so we don't want to be too long on that, but this slide basically is trying to sum up the reasons that we had behind this effort, and that are going to also drive our push forward. And finally, I think we are going to go to the roadmap, where we have very, very nice things that are going to happen during the next year. Some of them are already familiar to you guys. Some of them are really amazing, and you're going to like them very, very much. I think one that is coming into place in Casey that is quite amazing, and also in Teleport as well. But Casey will have it first, is the full AI powered localization. Can you say a few words about that one, Valentino?
Yeah, sure. Like, I mean, our CMS is built like from the ground up on localization, because most of our clients do not serve their website in just one language. They're serving it in multiple languages. And we started to develop we will ship pretty soon a version where you can localize, like with the with the sorry, that you can localize it with AI. That means you can insert your own API key from Anthropic, OpenAI, whatsoever. We do not charge extra for it. So basically, you put in your API key, you can insert a custom prompt, and then you can go into your content editing experience and just with one click translate your content into any like into to X locates that you have in your setup in your project, and that's basically something that makes it really fast to even faster to go live with your website and serve the page for your customers.
Then there's another one that we're working together, which is the fine-grained access control, and this is required by more and more agencies that need to give access to their content builders, but content only. And I think it has been mentioned before. We want to separate the concerns both from an experience perspective and from an access perspective, and that's something that we are working on to bring this fine-grained access control. The handwritten components, which is what we called in Teleport previously custom code, is back into our plan. This is a hated and very loved feature because it's a very complex element to bring into the mix. In that sense, that for those of you who are developers, components, they can have dependencies, and managing these dependencies in projects that are already existing can be very, very complex. And I think we're coming back to a more simple version of it, but which will give very high level control to developers or to teams that have a developer and teams who need to make very specific and custom experiences in these websites. Then the forms, we have a prototype that is already tested, and this is also on the way. Integrated analytics, if you don't want to share your data with Google, that's going to be quite nice as well. And one that we are looking at with Casey and that Casey enables is e-commerce capabilities. So I think this is a quite large and I would say yes, brave roadmap. But this is what we have in mind. These are the topics that we have in discussion. So we cannot give an ETA right now for them because there are a lot of things that are going on. But that's what we have in our mind. So Valentino, I'll let you say a few words about that if you have some thoughts.
Sure. Like the most important thing, and I think that's for every developer out there, is like the use of their handwritten components, because most of you guys have some or build some UI kits or ready to components that you use in different projects and in different kind of things over and over again. And we want that you can just plug them into the system, hook them up with Casey and Teleport, and use them and extend the website accordingly. And so you don't lose what you already built, and you don't have to build it over again in a visual builder. You basically hook that up, and that's the future where we're heading with that product as well. As Paul said, there is no EDA for any of those roadmaps items that we feature right now, but that's where we're heading to, and hopefully we can serve that pretty soon.
Yeah, and this being said, I think we are getting really close to the end of this webinar, and maybe we can now switch to the Q&A part of this event. And I think there are a few questions that popped up for the webinar. So let me go through. So the zooming. Yes, I think this one from Francesco. Hi, Francesco, by the way. Yes, for those Francesco is leading a very nice design agency, and he's actually a Teleport and Casey user. So we're very happy to have you here. Would you like to answer that?
I was about to answer to him directly in the chat. So at the moment, whenever you create a new page inside Teleport, a new document is created, a new document instance is created inside Casey. And basically, you continue from there, from the flow. So whatever you create visually in Teleport gets created automatically inside Casey. Whether either if a page will be a new document, a component will be a new component inside Casey. And afterwards you can do composition with the components inside the document.
Yes, and I think Valentino, if I remember correctly, you guys already are handling crops and the image aspect ratio and many other things around images as well, right?
Exactly, exactly. And the next step that we are talking right now with Vlad is since Casey is also supporting focal points, et cetera, that are all the things that we are going to build in the future into this integration that you do not need to care about your images. They're getting taken care of themselves. So from that point, yeah, like all the assets that we serve over Casey can be manipulated over the URL, and that URL path gets handed over to Teleport, and they're going to interpret it in the way with the focal point, with the right aspect ratio, with the right cropping for mobile whatsoever. That we have the high speeds that we showcased right now, and yeah.
Yeah, and we can, Francesco, we can definitely have a personal demo sometimes next week because you're a heavy user, so I think you will enjoy it pretty much, and your feedback would be really nice to have on this part as well.
But I hope we've answered your question. And if you have any follow up, shoot.
Okay, going to the next one from Zaki. Hey Zaki. Yes, I think this one seems to be a pretty straightforward example, right, guys?
Yes. Actually, we currently have a project like this underway internally. So we're actually building a real estate website. Really,
Yes.
really complex one.
Yes, and basically, just to be more precise, Zaki, the idea is that for each of your properties, we would automatically generate a link because the properties are what we consider a collection. The collection is going to be displayed in one page as a collection, so you can see all the properties. You can paginate, you can filter, and then when the user clicks on a property card, exactly in the same way Vlad has done in this demo, that property card will have a link, and that link will bring the user directly to the page that is only displaying one property. So this is really some basic scenario that is already handled. Okay, this is like a small one. Yeah, it's a good question. We were in a crisis when we started the company, and we're trying to figure out a nice name. And then one of my good friends, his name is Emil. He came with this name, and we fall in love. The first name we had was Co-op Team. Was really like a shitty name. I cannot tell it otherwise. It was really bad. And so we were so happy when this one came and was looking like futuristic. And our mindset was AI everywhere at the time. So we thought, yes, let's take it. And then obviously other issues arrived, like teleport.com was taken, and we had to opt for Teleport HQ. And there you go. Now we are teleporthq.io. So this is answering this one. Going to the next one. Yeah, Vlad, do you want to answer this one? I think you
I already did. Next.js.
Next.js.
Go with Next.js. You have everything that you would need for a website with Next.js. And it's our most developed export capability.
Yes, and one thing that is important for users that are not so technical is the demo that you've seen today is using a lot of technologies that Next.js has promoted for a long time. One thing that you have heard probably about is server-side rendering. Server-side rendering basically means that when you show the page, the content is already preloaded, or if it's not preloaded, it's only loaded once from Casey, then it is cached into the CDN, which gives you really amazing performance for every subsequent page. And there's so many other things that Next.js does on top. So when you look at project build with Teleport, you have at the bottom of it, you have Casey, which is managing all the images, which is managing all the content, basically is the feeder. Then on top of Casey, you have Vercel, which is our provider that is the hosting provider. On top of Vercel, we have Next.js, and Next.js is mixed with Vercel, which is one of the best provider in the world at this moment, and mixed with Casey is enabling this performance out of the box. So if you want to get the 100% or close to 100% Lighthouse score out of the box, then you will need to probably either use our stack or use a similar stack, or maybe you create an account on Vercel and then you deploy it there in your Vercel account. If you download with Next.js, you can do same or similar things if you have development knowledge, and you can do it on Amazon or other architectures. But if you don't have specific constraints, if you're not a big company that has to have things on their own servers, I strongly recommend that you use either our stack or you use something that is similar. So Next.js is from far the most developed version that we have, as Vlad said, and is offering a really good performance. Let's look at this next one. Yeah, that's my understanding, right, Vlad? What before was a static page now is living into the document, into the CMS.
Yes. Basically, what I showed you was a home page with its correspondent document blueprint inside Casey. If I would have created a new page, you would have seen a new document in Casey. That would have been controlled exactly in the same way as the page that I showed you.
Okay. So yes, Zaki, maybe you can write us, drop us an email, and we can have a call so that we can show you how this example would work for real estate properties, so you can check how it maps to your needs. Oh yes, it's a good one. So basically, I think there are already quite some tutorials about that. So if you export, then you can go and see any tutorials that are showing you how to use Next. There's not much that we can do once you are exporting. So if you choose Next, we would assume that you know how to deploy Next either in your own Vercel account, either through a GitHub pipeline, or any other mean that you see fit. If that's a blocker, if you have specific questions, we'll be happy to help though. So we won't have like huge tutorials, but we can give you a hand for that. Okay. Louis, we would like that. We would like that, but I think it's not going to happen, and there's a reason for that. If you are a developer, you probably know that Bootstrap is not only a CSS framework; it's a CSS and GS framework. It doesn't play necessarily well with React. Chat CDN is only a React framework that is using, by the way, Tailwind. Material, again, is not just a CSS framework, and the difficulty is to bring those in Teleport and to make sure that they play nice with the completely custom way that we offer to our customers to do that. So I'm afraid that this is not on our roadmap and won't be soon. We had a Tailwind attempt, but it was too confusing for users to have those mixing together. So I think we will stick with what we have for now. Well, this is music to our ears, Francesco. Yes, it's
Thank you very much.
yeah, that's very nice. Yes, I think we at least at Teleport, I think Casey is doing a much better job than we do. We're not so good at communicating things. We have so much progress to do that. We see slowly people migrating from purely designing things or closed systems to more open systems. So I think it's happening little by little, but it's a lot of education indeed. But we see the change. We see the change. The discussions that we're having are in a much better state that we had in the past years. So we have hope. Will there be a video recording on YouTube? Yes, I think so, and we will post it to you guys once the webinar is done. I think yes, Colleen replied to that one. Yes, yes, Louis. So just to make sure, we tried to implement Tailwind, but we took it off. So that has been an experiment in the past, but we won't be able to bring it back. I think probably in a very far future we would implement Tailwind, but then if you use Tailwind, you wouldn't be able to use anything else because the visual experience for doing that is quite complicated to get. But I'm a Tailwind fan, so if there's any way for us to implement it in the future, I would definitely do it. Bandwidth calculated. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe this one you can answer to this one, Valentino.
So basically, the bandwidth that is calculated from our CDN is like basically the bandwidth that the asset is using. Because I mean, when you open the web page that is hosted by us, like in terms of Teleport, is hosted on our unified platform, then the bandwidth is calculated normally like it would be calculated anywhere else. That means when then if you fetch an asset that has 2 megabytes, it will be 2 megabytes that's going to be consumed as a bandwidth. So pretty straightforward on that side.
And maybe I'm just because you responded about the asset, but maybe maybe exactly you mentioned about the data that would come through the API calls. Is that correct? I don't know if you can respond now, but I think one of the nice things about this integration is that a lot of is cached as well. So so images indeed, as Valentino said, you have to think that the first time they download it by user, your bandwidth is going to be counted. But then once the image is in the local cache of that browser, you're not billed anymore for any bandwidth because it's cached, so there's no impact. When it comes from API calls, for example, you load the page, as I mentioned, you load the page, and then there is an API call that we're doing towards Casey. We fetch the data, but once the data is fetched, then it is cached into the CDN, and like subsequent calls for many minutes according to the settings that you're putting there or not, or unless you are invalidating the content, is served directly from the cache for performance purposes. So in any case, you will it's going to be hard to hit the limits, or I wouldn't be afraid about that unless you really have very heavy assets, or especially videos. Videos can be the breaker in terms of bandwidth. So then we can have a specific code for that if that is an issue.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this is it. It's a wrap. Thank you so much, guys, for being present into this webinar. I hope it was instructive and you had some great insights about what we're cooking. If you have more interest in discovering what we're doing, and if you're on some private demos, or if you have some projects that you would like to show to us, and we would be really happy to jump into a call. This is work in progress, as Valentino mentioned. We plan to onboard our first customers in the next quarter, but it's going to be one by one. Basically, there's not going to be a public release in the first quarter. We're going to try out with some like brave teleporters and casiers, and then we're going to open the gates more largely. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining this webinar once again, and thank you, Valentino,
And-
for this.
Thank you for your time as well. Thank you guys for joining the webinar here. And if you want to be one of the first to try out the system and experience it, I'm gonna paste here a form into the chat, showcasing it here as well. Go to that link, fill out the form, and we let you know on spot is open to be among the first to try out that unified experience that we showcased right now. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you, Vlad. Thank you, Colin, for your time, for the effort, all the
Thank you.
team.
Yeah,
And
same here.
let's
Thank you as
keep
well.
pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, we will. Okay. Have a nice evening.
Have a great
or
one.
day to
See ya.
each of you. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye-bye.